everybody, it's Cindy Matalucci, your host of The Pulse and Live with Cindy. We made it through another Friday. It's Friday, April 8th. I have to shout out to my little sister, Amanda J. It's her birthday today, so I love you, sweetie. I can't wait to see you soon. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy birthday. So you guys, are we ready for spring? I don't know. I'm not sure. The weather seems like it's summer, but we have some great shows lined up for you guys. We're so excited that you spend this 30 minutes with us. We love it. And remember, if you have a story for us, you want exposure for your brand, you have an event coming up, hit us up on social media at The Pulse SD or on our website so we can create a buzz around your brand, because we love to do that. Okay, so new hairdo. What do we think, you guys? It's the shortest it's been. I've been dying to do this for years. I finally did, so I have to shout out to Enrique Soto from the Richard Joseph Salon. You know, he does my hair for me for the show. He did my hair today. I love him, so thank you so much for cutting it, and stay tuned for our second phase. This is only the first phase, but I have to say, it's liberating. I absolutely love it, although I'm still learning how to style it, so I'm working on that. So stay tuned for that. And then I also want to shout out to my fabulous makeup artist. I love my glam team, Sheila Nellis from Trish McAvoy. She is amazing. So she did my makeup. She also did Valerie's makeup today, and Enrique did her hair. So we love looking gorgeous. So thank you guys to the Glam Squad. And remember, if you are a guest on the show, you too can have your hair and makeup done, and we can arrange that for you. Okay, so before we get started with our fabulous show today, I have to thank my sponsors. I absolutely love Coffee Ambassador. You know, we love them. They do coffee right. They've been in business 50 years in San Diego, family-run business. So thank you so much for keeping our staff and our guests caffeinated, as well as the tea that you bring. You also do the tea, so we love that as well. And then we also want to shout out to Windus Fernandez Brinkward from Trilogy Financial. Windus and her team have got you covered for all your financial needs. And I know it's very stressful right now. So remember, she does a free consult as well for our clients. So thank you, Windus. Okay, you guys, we have such an informative show. I cannot wait. We are welcoming Valerie Eddy of Peace Offers Mediation and Education for a great conversation today on how to resolve disputes without involving attorneys, which is, in my opinion, always a good thing. And we're also going to talk about tips on your homeowner's policy and what we can do in case of a wildfire or a natural disaster, because people, we live in California and this stuff happens. So Valerie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Cindy, for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. So what I love about you too is your tagline is resolving disputes to give you peace, right? Which I think is so amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, I know what mediation is, but for the viewers that don't, can you give us a little background on what mediation is?
Yes, thanks for asking. Mediation is when individuals, or maybe an individual and an organization, have a conflict or a dispute, and they want to settle it outside of court, not involving, you know, all those costs and those fees. And so we get together in mediation and we talk about the issues at hand, and we work at resolving those issues. And at the end, once we've come up with a resolution, it's legally binding. So, and I help facilitate that by doing a lot of creative questioning.
Well, I was going to say, I bet, and I think you were telling me the most common person that does mediation or something for mediation is divorce, right? A lot of times when you're dealing with divorce, mediation is involved.
True. A lot of people think when they hear mediation, oh, I'm going through a divorce. It's so many different types of disputes. It could be neighbor to neighbor. It could be your car is having a problem and you got a problem with your mechanic that fixed it. It could be anything you can think of, just like lawyers have a whole vast array of things that they handle. Mediation, anything you want to fight over can be resolved.
I love that, and resolved peacefully.
Yes.
So let's talk about your story, because I love how interesting this is. You have such a diverse background. So how did you get involved in mediation?
So I'm a guy at heart. I started out in construction at 18 years old, and then also in automotive, and then I was racing cars at a young age, and then I eventually ended up in law enforcement. In construction, one of my jobs was to take people who weren't paying their bills to court for collections, and they would put us in mediation if both parties showed up. And I was so amazed by the mediator and how that process worked that I wanted to do that. And I was a single mom with a couple of boys, so I couldn't do it at the time. I filed that away in the back of my head and said, that would be a great job to do as I ease into retirement.
And now you're doing it. I love this.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I want to talk about something interesting, and we're going to run a picture. I looked at this, the Cuyamaca Peace Wheel, right? Will you kind of talk about this? Because I think it what we were talking about earlier, it really explains sort of how it works with mediation.
Right. So when you're the Cuyamaca Peace Wheel, I came across. I thought it was really awesome. This one happened to be the Kumeyaay Indians, Native American culture. Of course, this is in every culture that we want peace. And so when you're listening like to even peace talks right now, like what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia, that's a mediation. And the person that is facilitating those peace talks is a mediator or a peacekeeper, or they get called a lot of different names like that. So the peace wheel actually shows how the process works. So in that one, the first person is going to explain their feelings and their idea of the dispute. The second person is going to listen and then kind of reiterate what that person said. And then they're going to explain their feelings and what they feel their version of the dispute is. And then from that point, we just kind of keep working around until we come up with some solutions and a resolution. And then hopefully we resolve it peacefully.
Well, and I love too that you were saying that putting people together, right? Because you can do it virtually, but it's so much better to put people together in person so they can feel what's going on, right?
Exactly. So my style of mediation is like kind of breaking bread together at a table. I like to have everybody at a table. I always bring food because it's a kind of a nervous habit to eat and drink as we're going along, and just keep it as calm and peaceful as possible. And then we can take breaks if it gets heated or we need to talk to somebody else. And it's not that we don't love lawyers and bring lawyers into it. People can bring whoever they want to a mediation, including lawyers, and just realizing that that's counsel, that's legal counsel, legal information for them. But the end result is whatever the resolution is really your choice and your idea. So you can take all in that information, but it's really your decision at the very end.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about your company itself, right? Woman-owned small business based out of Julian. Mm-hmm. We love Julian, and shout out to Doreen at Fort Cross, because that's how we met.
Yes, exactly.
In Julian, we love her. So talk a little bit about what your company does.
So I started Peace Offers in 2013, and it started out as Peace Offers Mediation, and now we've kind of gotten laser focused with the education part of it as well. So, because like I said, mediation can be on so many different types of disputes. So, we focus on what our strengths are: construction and automotive, also insurance and victims of crime. So we work on
and
those
elder
things.
abuse too, right? That's a
Right.
big thing.
Well, that's again a victim of crime.
Yeah.
People don't even think about that. And I don't really get into too much on the family disputes except for this. And like elders feel a lot of times that they don't have a say in maybe like their care, or if they are getting very old and they need to go into a home or something. It's a very difficult conversation, and it's like the family argues over it, and the elder feels sometimes like they're lost and they don't have a say. And so I can really help in those situations as well.
Well, and you've been awarded a contract for mediation with the California Department of Insurance, right?
Yes.
I mean, you've got a lot of accolades. Maybe you could touch a little bit on that too.
So I do a lot of wildfire disputes, which is homeowners versus insurance companies. And they can be for being underinsured or there's maybe a dispute in the construction or something, tracked about 4 years ago, and still going strong with it.
That's amazing. And then also the Certificate of Appreciation for Mediation Services from the Superior Court of California, Orange County, and recognition as a facilitator through Alternatives to Violence Project, which is AVP.
Right. Alternatives to Violence Project is an awesome organization. It goes back to the late 1800s, actually. The Quakers developed it. AVP, or Alternatives to Violence Project, is across the world, and every Memorial Day they have a huge worldwide program that they put together, and they do a lot of going into the prison systems, and they teach and facilitate mediation and how to just different classes on how to do alternatives to violence.
Wow. Well, okay, so the other thing I want to talk about, and I have to give you accolades for this because she just presented to my women's group, Elite Networking. So presenting in education is a lot of things that you're doing now too.
Yes.
And she's such a great resource. The women were blown away. I know I ran home and checked my insurance policy right away Wednesday. So when we were talking about everything, and you presented on several topics, but one thing you did touch on was homeowners insurance and things we need to know. And I was hoping, since I have you here, you could give us some tips to the viewers on this, because I thought it was such great information that you talked about yesterday.
So it's one of my most sought after educational programs, and that is understanding homeowners insurance. And so I take the legal lingo out of your homeowners policy and help you understand it. And this is for a lot of reasons. My educational programs and presentations are to help you not to really have to even go to mediation, but to make sure you're fully covered in all the aspects of your insurance policy, and to just watch out what's going on. If bundling your insurance may not be the smartest thing to do. Companies tend to broker out, knowing the difference between an agent and a broker. A broker works for you, an agent usually works for a company, and making sure that they're not brokering out that insurance policy to another company. You're thinking that it's with the company you originally are working with, and turns out, oh no, just maybe your auto is, but your homeowner's policy is with somebody else.
Well, and the other thing that I thought was so great is you were talking about checking your coverage, right?
Right.
And I think you gave an example, and maybe you can just touch on that. I think it was like $250,000 was your, ultimate coverage or something. But then you have to worry about subtracting your mortgage, right? Which
Right.
people don't even necessarily think about. Mm-hmm. When you get that. So maybe you could just touch on a few different things. I know additional living expenses. That was something that was like a little bit I didn't even think about.
Right. So I kind of call them buckets in my presentation. It's there's some 4 basic ones. You have your homeowner's policy that has, they all have policy limits, right? And so they break it down into like A, B, C, D, E, whatever. But usually it's like the house, which is the dwelling, then other structures, your contents, and then ALE, additional living expenses. So if you were to have a God forbid, a fire, and whether it's a small fire or a large fire, and you're displaced, you can't live in your home, that's where your additional living expenses come in. And so each one of those has a different limit, and accordingly. So if you're sitting there looking at your homeowner's policy and under the dwelling, the house itself, and you got a $300,000 policy and you have a total loss, you're going to get $300,000 plus another $150,000 on a total loss. However, if you have a mortgage, now you got to subtract that amount because that comes right off the top, and any deductibles also. So then what you're left with might be like far less, and usually even less than the $300,000 that you started with. And are you going to be able to rebuild for that price? So that's something to really keep in mind.
When you were saying you will do a consult where you'll sit down with someone and kind of review that.
Yeah, I will be more than happy to come in and sit down one-on-one, go over your policy, and one thing like with outbuildings or other structures, people don't realize other structures include fencing all the way around your property, and other structures is, well, if you got a she shed or maybe a hobby shack or something like that. Also, you want to make sure your hobby shack includes all the contents and the amount of content insurance you have. Pools, swimming pools, other structures, gazebos, other structures. So you could have a lot wrapped up in other structures, and that's usually only 10% of your policy unless you tell your insurance broker or agent that you need more.
That's great information, and we're going to have a link too, because she has a lot of resources. There's a link that we're going to be providing on the website as well. It's a government site. You can check it out, and they've got all the companies that are writing policies in high-risk areas and things like that too. So we'll be providing that. So I also, before you go, I want to touch on the California Fair Plan, because this was a big topic yesterday, and a lot of the women in the group were kind of blown away by this and have had a lot of questions on this, because people think that the California Fair Plan is your only option, but it's not, right?
It's not, yeah. So the California Fair Plan is just a broker. So they have the word California, but it's not a government agency. It is just like I'm Peace Offers Mediation and Education, they just happen to have the name of the California Fair Plan. And so they are brokering out to many different insurance companies to get you the coverage that you need. Even on their website, it says to look at it as temporary insurance. 6-month, 1-year policies, they're really hoping that you're going to look for another policy to cover your high risk fire or mudslides or flooding. A lot of those things you got to be careful too. They're not normally written into your policy, and you might have to have a different type of insurance, like an umbrella or another policy attached to that to cover some of those extra things.
That's amazing. I know. It blew our mind yesterday. She's such a great resource. Okay, so you are so gracious. You're going to offer a promotion to our viewers.
Yeah, so if you mention the word The Pulse, I'll give you a 10% discount on any of my services.
We love that. And you guys can go to peaceoffers.com. And then what is the best way for people to reach out to you? Would you say to contact you for a consult or to use your services?
So as soon as you get on the website, you'll see a form. You can go ahead and fill out that form and give me a brief idea of what you're wanting or needing. Also, our phone number is also on our website. You can text as well on that, and besides calling, and we'll respond.
And then your fees is it normally a flat fee, or is it based on?
So it's all going to vary on different ideas, like if you're wanting a one-on-one consult versus if you want a full educational program. I'm very fair in it. If I have to pay for the meeting room or something, then we're going to ask for those costs. But a lot of these educational programs are by donation, just so that we can continue to give them. And in the mediation costs, those are usually an all-inclusive fee. And I do not just California and San Diego, but all throughout the United States. So it's just covering all those costs. So it's a one-time inclusive fee. And then as far as victim services, we ask for donations, or we do a lot of things pro bono if needed.
We love that. We appreciate that. And you guys, she's saving you a lot of money, because you don't need an attorney, because you're going to be using her instead. So we love that. So thank you so much, Valerie. We really appreciate having you on the show as a resource. You guys, her number is 760-896-4501. It's on the website. You can follow her on Instagram at @peace_offers. We have all the website information. It will also be archived on our site. And if you have a question for Valerie, let us know and we'll put you in touch, or you can hit her up on the website or text her, because now you have her number.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, so I just want to shout out for next week. We have a fabulous guest lined up for us next week. We have Natalie Punt from MPet, and I'm so excited to talk about this. She created an amazing app to manage your pet's health information. So it's a space that you can store, you can record and share important healthcare and medical records. And let me tell you, after what just happened to my dog, this is something you guys need right away. So I'm really excited for her to talk to you a little bit about this app. So that is going to be on next Friday's show. We can't wait. All right, you guys, it's Friday, so stay safe out there, stay cool, be nice to each other. And again, if you have any kind of problems, you need a mediator, contact Valerie. And we'll see you guys next time when we put our finger on the pulse of San Diego.
Hey,
Bye.
Bye.